banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine. It's a place I love best, 'cause it's better than the rest. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. There's lights that burn so brightly, in the northeast sky they shine. From a place that Geordies worship, where legends wear number 9. You can travel right round the world, even meet the Pope in Rome. But nothing beats the feeling of when you come back here to home. No matter how life changes, we'll never be far apart. The northeast always home, and it's always in your heart. Take me home to the banks of the River Tyne. Take me home to the place that I call mine.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to It's All Black and White TV. I've got Roly on, and I will have Kyle on. He is running a little bit late. Travel problems. It is a bank holiday weekend, so he can be excused for that. But as soon as he comes in, I will bring him straight onto the show. How are you, Roly?
I'm good, thanks. Looking forward to the game on Sunday.
Yeah, aren't we all? Aren't we all? Okay, guys and girls, if you like what you see, then please smash the like. Really do give that a like. It would be helping the channel, helping out tremendously, and helps us up the search results. So please smash them likes. That'd be great. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, then please hit the subscribe. Free to do so. It helps the channel grow, and that bell notification will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming show. So I'm currently on 535 subscribers. So I'm 15 away now from 550 and 65 away from 600. So if you are brand new, then be sure to smash that subscribe. Thank you very much indeed. Also, if you want to make a donation to the channel, there is a link in the chat. Click the link and follow the instructions. It's all voluntary at the end of the day. It's going to go to some comments first of all. And Bia was straight in. Evening, Tony Roly in chat. Good evening to you, Bia. I hope you're Jack says, evening all, hope all are well. Yeah, we're all fine, Jack. Hope you're well too, mate. Mason says, has anyone heard from John Sinclair after last night?
I believe it's in morning.
It's in morning. David says, thanks, Jack. Hope you're well too. Ian talking to Mason. David says, I'm glad we aren't getting Neymar or Ronaldo. We don't need any prima donnas. We ought to build a team of work rate machines. Absolutely, mate. We'll talk into that later on in the show. Evening, Tony and Roly says, Ian. Good evening to you, Ian. Hope you're very well, sir. Evening, Tony, Roly and all, says Alan Little. Good evening to you, Alan. Hope you're having a great time, mate. Good evening, Tony and Roly, says Gareth. Good evening to you, Gareth. Hope you're well. Jack says, someday with no one's bigger than the badge or the cathedral on the hill, but couldn't think of anything worse than having a big ego at the club. Again, it's somebody we're going to come on to a bit later on in the show. Yes, so as you saw my video this morning, so I'm going to explain a couple of things about my video this morning. So it's quite funny, and Sefton's in the chat, evening Tony Roly in chat. Good evening,
Sefton.
And just in case you're wondering, Sefton, if you just joined the chat, yeah, Kyle's running a little bit late, but he will be here as soon as he possibly can. Travel problems, it is a bank holiday weekend, so I suppose everybody's trying to get to a coronation or whatever. So, yes. So this morning, I think I amused a lot of people because I was on Lucas' channel last night doing the Arsenal preview, and when I come off, I put the game on, and I thought, oh, there's only about 5 minutes left because there's only 5 minutes of injury time. So I thought, I'll watch the last few minutes of this. I'll catch up with it. So I'm sitting there watching it, and I saw the corner come in, and it was like 95 minutes, and then the ball went out for a throw-in. I switched it off. I thought, that's game over because it's 95 minutes. Game over. The final whistle will probably go once to take the throw, so I've just switched it off, and never thought anything about it. Sat down, looking through Twitter, and I'm thinking, what on earth on about Brighton getting a penalty in the 99th minute? And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, what penalty? When? When did this happen? So I looked at it and I'm thinking, oh my God, they've played extra time on top of that 95 minutes. Why the hell did I switch it off? And I wish I hadn't have now. But obviously I saw the penalty and everything from McAllister. But so that's why I switched the TV off, just in the fact that I thought the game was up, so I just thought I was a draw, and that's it, Obviously, learn your lesson. Never switch off a match until it's fully played. I normally watch a Newcastle match all the way through, but because it was just Brighton Man U, I just thought, it's 0-0, so I'll switch it off. And then obviously somebody commented on my video this morning saying after I'd done like a sniffle, what it was, obviously when you got a bunged up nose with a cold and that, you do tend to sniffle. So apologies for that being picked up this morning. Arsenal Forever says, panel, big up to you, Arsenal Forever. Hope you're well.
Yeah.
Stephen says, my apologies, I've been a bit mad busy. What's been happening? We're about to come out with that. And hi, Tony Roly Knowles says, I like coffee.
I like coffee.
I still don't want your score prediction for for Sunday. Jesus, mate, honestly. We couldn't live through that, mate. Honestly, we couldn't. Let's just have a simple game where we just win it and that is it, and we don't have to go through all that emotions. Alan says, I still can't get over how Liverpool got that penalty. Do you know what it is? It's the top six. More corruption in the Premier League. The Premier League is corrupt, and it is corrupt. I'm sorry. It is corrupt, and you can see that. There was nobody in God's earth was that ever a penalty. Never. Coronation, isn't that a chicken, says Beer. Yeah, you can get Coronation chicken in your sandwich, or yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be watching it tomorrow.
So we'll get on to Eddie Howe's press conference. And first of all, he was asked on about the fitness of Sean Longstaff and ESM, Alan St. Maximin. He says Sean is okay and has improved. He hasn't trained yet, so we're hoping that's either today or tomorrow, but we'll wait and see. Alan has trained. He trained yesterday. It was great to see him back out on the grass, and he trained very well too. So we're very pleased with that. We'll make a decision on whether we'll involve him against Arsenal, meaning ESM. He says, such a shame the two moments where you felt Maxi was entering his best form, he ends up getting injured just after that. I look back at the Wolves game where he scored that spectacular goal, and then we lost him for a period of time. And then the West Ham game when he was contributing with assists, impacting the games, and we lost him again. So that rhythm has been disruptive. So, I mean, it looks like he's not sure on Sean Longstaff because he's not obviously been back on the grass training. Maxi has, and he's pleased with what Maxi's been doing. Going off that, I could see Maxi maybe making the bench on Sunday, but I don't think Sean Longstaff is. What's your thoughts on what Eddie Howe said there about ESM and Sean Longstaff?
And I agree with him with what happened with ASM, because he was just getting into some good form and then he got injured. It's just been the story of the season for him. He gets injured when he's playing at his best. Then it's a struggle to get back into the team because we've been playing so well. I think he'll be on the bench because I can't see there'll be many changes to the starting 11, if any. Sean Longstaff, hopefully he's fit or can play, because we've seen the difference with and without him. It makes such a big difference to the team. And it's really great that people are starting to recognise that now. I think part of his problem is because there's no stats for off the ball work and running. Or they're not. I mean, obviously we know that he covers more ground than any other player in the league, but there are no other stats for work off the ball. So he gets overshadowed by the guys that do all the stuff on the ball. Though he has scored a couple of goals and got a few assists as well. So hopefully he'll be back. I've just seen today that Wilson has won the Fun 88 Player of the Month award.
Yeah.
And it's on the club site, so that's excellent. But yeah, going back to Maxia and Sean, I think if Sean's fit enough to play, he starts, and Maxi will be on the bench.
Yeah. I think so as well. I mean, he was the Premier League Player of the Month as well.
So you're breaking up. I can't hear you properly.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, so let's hope that obviously Wilson goes on and wins Player of the Month in the Premier League as well. That would be just a fantastic little double for Wilson. Eddie Howe winning Manager of the Month, and I would say Goal of the Month. I know they've got it down as Isak because Murphy scored the goal, but it's that amazing run from Isak which set it up. So I think if that won Goal of the Month from Budweiser, then all in all, I think if we triple swooped, that's brilliant for us. I mean, think how many players. But we've got Isak in there as well as Player of the Month, so it could be Isak who wins Player of the Month. It might not be Wilson. I know Wilson scored goals, so is Isak. But it's the way Isak's been so creative. And so, again, it could be either one of them wins it. As long as it's a Newcastle player that wins it. I don't care who wins it. Whether it's Isak or Wilson. And as long as Eddie Howe gets Manager of the Month, let's make it a double. Well, let's make it a treble with the Goal of the Month as well.
Yeah.
Again, Wilson's in there for his goal against Everton from outside the box. So let's see. This is just great that we are now getting players and managers in the Manager and the Player of the Month reckoning. And Eddie Howe's already won it this season once. So let's see if he can get it again, you know. The Premier League team come out today of the season. And only one Newcastle player in there, Kieran Trippier. But hang on a minute. Why isn't Bruno in there? Why isn't Joe Linton in there? Joe Linton's been as good as any of them that's in there. Zinchenko's in there. He hasn't been that great for Arsenal. You know, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And there should have been, Joe Linton should have been in there, like I say, or Bruno, or even Isak to a degree, or Botman, or Cher at the back. I mean, they've been the rock. And yet they're not even in that team, Roly.
Yeah, I've not seen the full team of the season, but there is an argument for most of our players to be in there. I know when I was choosing, there are only a few positions where they had Newcastle players. I know Trippier was one. So Nick Pope could quite easily be in there. As I said, Bruno, Joe Linton are the main ones, or Botman or Shah. But we're still an unfancy club at the moment. People are going to have to take note that we're really good and we're here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I get the next part of Eddie Howe's interviews, Ali Coffee says Eddie really knows how to conduct himself during interviews. He says some managers get into rants and lose their heads. Yes, we know all about that, Coffee. We know about that with GFK, don't we? Remember his 52-word swearing rant when he was using all the F's and C's and B's and everything? What an idiot that man was. Alan says the cartel should be named and shamed better. Still kick out the Premier League, absolutely. So Longstaff is now for the rest of the season, says Sefton. No, he's not Sefton. Eddie Howe's confirmed he's back in training.
Yeah, it was bruising rather than a fracture.
Yeah. Jan says, oh, what a beautiful day. I'm loving it. Absolutely, Jan. Absolutely, mate. And hope you're very well indeed. Please don't forget to hit the like buttons, please, guys and girls. And also, if you're new to the channel, then please hit the subscribe. You name it, I am loving it. Absolutely, Jan. Definitely, mate. And Lee says, evening, Tony and Roly. Good evening, Lee. Hope you're well. And hello, says Andrew. Well, you haven't been on for a little while, Andrew. So nice to see you back on the channel, mate. And hope you're very well indeed, mate. So the next thing Eddie Howe was asked, on the possibility of pairing Callum Wilson and Alexander Isak together for the Gunners visit. He says it's not the first time the temptation has been there to play them together. But when you're analysing the next game, you have to analyse the opponents yourselves and pick the best team to try and win the game. that won't be any different for this weekend. I've talked about lots of different scenarios, but ultimately my end decision has to be, what does the team need rather than what Callum or Alex need. It's up to me to make the right call. So he's analysing teams as we play them. So basically he's saying there, it's not to say that he won't play them together. He just wants to make sure that when we play whatever team we're playing, that if they are paired up together, it's the right decision to pair them up together for that game. He may want to play a different system against Arsenal, so he may think, I'm not going to pair them together against Arsenal. But there again, who knows? With Eddie Howe, we don't know. Eddie Howe could just throw that curveball in there and play the both of them on Sunday. This might just be to throw the media off it, to say, look, we'll just have to wait and see on the situations. So that means that keeps Arsenal guessing. That keeps the media guessing. And at the end of the day, when that team sheet comes out, once Arsenal and Newcastle hand their team sheets in, that's it. It's done. And then Arsenal will be like, oh, Isak. If Arsenal haven't prepared for Isak and Wilson playing together, then that's Arteta's problem. But it wouldn't surprise me if the two started together on Sunday. What's your thoughts, Roly?
I mean, Eddie gives nothing away in the press conferences. He is very careful with what he says, or likes to dodge questions. I think a lot of it depends on whether Sean Longstaff's fit. If Sean Longstaff's fit, he'll play one up front because he doesn't want to. Why change a system that's working? Yeah. But the great thing about having Isak and Wilson is they're both very different types of strikers. So who do you prepare for? Prepare for Wilson, who's going to give you work your centre halves over, a fox in the box. You're going to prepare for Isak, who can run at you like a winger and is a great finisher. Yeah. So I think it's another reason for not starting both of them is because you saw on Sunday when it wasn't working in the first half, they're able to bring Wilson on to change the game, move Isak out wide. And the centre halves have got a totally different challenge when Wilson's playing than when Isak's playing. If you play them both together, it's okay. So you managing Wilson's fitness. Managing Wilson's fitness. That was my end here. Managing Wilson's fitness. Can he do the full 90 minutes? Yeah, he probably can. Do you want him to do the full 90 minutes? I think Eddie's done a great job since Callum's regained form in managing his workload. Because the last thing we want is for him to play the 90 minutes and do his hammy in the last 10 minutes. So by doing 60 minutes here, then 30 minutes the next, is managing it. Because we've got both strikers are good, are very good. You don't lose anything by playing one either than the other. You just play all that changes is the style that the player plays in. We've not had that for a long time where we've had two good strikers. So if one goes down, you don't miss him so much because you've got another one that's as good or better, but in a different way.
Yeah, definitely, Rory. Arsenal Forever says, Eddie Howe's done a magnificent job at Newcastle. No squad overhaul, no excuses, just great football and big results. Absolutely brilliant comment by Arsenal Forever there. I mean, yes, it's nice to see that actually people are pointing the finger that we've got money. Yes, we have spent a little bit of money, but we haven't gone out and spent a massive amount of money. And players that were already at the club have been massively improved under Eddie Howe. Joe Linton, Longstaff, Jacob Murphy, to say a few. So yeah, absolutely. And the football that Eddie Howe's played has been absolutely brilliant. And Arsenal's going to have to match that on Sunday as well. Alan says, Eddie Howe should get Manager of the Year for me. We should have a coronation for our King Eddie Howe. Do you know what? You're absolutely spot on, Alan. I mean, yeah. If Guardiola doesn't win the 3 trophies, like Champions League, then FA Cup and title, then yeah, I think we will. I think Eddie Howe could get the Manager of the Year. But we'll wait and see on that one. Lee says it's brilliant to see us up for awards. Let's get the triple. Absolutely, Lee. Absolutely, mate. Well said. And Sefton saying well said to Arsenal forever. Respect.
Yeah.
Tanji says our fitness is key to all our progress. We just need more squad depth in the summer. We do, Tanji. Yeah. And the thing is, if we finish in that, top 4, then we'll get elite players into the club, which will help us out. And I did miss your comment earlier. Sorry about this, Tanji. He says, Manu, I should have had Anthony Shaw and Casemiro sent off last night. Poor referee. And imagine if Manu had those 3 missing for a few games. They are protected by the cartel. I didn't see the game, Tanji, so I'm not aware of that. But, yeah, that's not great at all. And if that's the case, then, yeah, there's definitely something not right here. And to be fair, Man U have lost that game in hand against us, which is absolutely ideal because we now need to get out there. We need to get out there on Sunday, win that game, and hope Man U drop more points because remember, we've now got that game back. Now we've played the same amount of games as Man United. We just need to keep winning games and staying in 3rd place. And if we come in on Sunday and Man U get a draw or whatever, it just pushes us even further away from them. So, yeah, absolutely. And Gary says, good evening, Tony and Roly. Good evening to you, Gary D. I hope you're well. And but, yeah, I mean, Brian says, big up Tony and Roly. You know what that own it? Yeah, we're the richest. Pick your lip up. Haha. The answer is, would it be funny if we win the remaining games? What say we wouldn't win them? If we win every game from now till the end of the season, we finish on 80 points. So that's the stake there. And if we finished on 80 points this season, that is one hell of a season, one hell of a job from Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Arsenal Forever says, as an Arsenal supporter, I don't care if we win, lose or draw at Newcastle. The damage is done. Drawn at West Ham, I just want the season to end, to be fair. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I mean, against Southampton as well, that game, you should have beat Southampton in all honesty. But maybe your players are too nervous. And this is what I was saying the other night with Soph. I just said, is it the fact that your players are just too nervous of not being in a title challenge? And I said this to Luca last night as well on his channel. Maybe the players not being in a title challenge are a bit nervous and they're not used to this sort of thing. And the pressure of it is like weighing over their shoulders and they're like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not sure. And then when they try and do the simple things, they don't come off and it makes them look silly. So the title can bring a lot of pressures to people in a lot of funny ways. Got a fancy tune there.
That's Julie's phone.
So on Paul Dummett, who last featured in a competitive fixture for the Magpies back in August in a 2-1 away win against Tranmere Rovers in the Carabao Cup. That was a long, long time ago now. Eddie says, Paul's been really good. Fitness-wise, it's the best I've seen him. He's had a really consistent run of training, hasn't missed a day in a while. And I think any player benefits from that consistency. He's a very good player. I think that the beauty of him is that he can play in a couple of positions, left back or centre half. It's great to have a player who's got that experience and ability. Yes, he hasn't had the opportunity to get a run in the team because of the consistency of other players, but it's someone we value very highly as a player, a person, and a professional. I mean, Eddie talking up Paul Dummett there, saying he's absolutely brilliant. Yes, he's got the experience in that, but I just don't see Paul Dummett getting into the side at all. I know there's talk that he'll probably sign a new deal in the summer. That's probably just to keep up with the with the homegrown contingent that you've got to have in your squad. So I can sort of see that. But I'm surprised Paul Dummett himself doesn't want to like move on in the summer and maybe just say, look, look, I've had a great time here, but can I just go in the summer on a free? I'll go somewhere like the Championship maybe or whatever, and just see me last few years out as a footballer. We don't know. That could come about, So again, it's one of them we'll wait and see. And I'm going to get Rory's thoughts in a moment. I'm just going to crack on some comments here, and then we'll get Rory's thought. Paul Galland, very good evening, Tony and Rory. Good evening to you, Paul. Hope you're well. Tangi says it's more to do with Man City being experienced in this situation, having 2 or 3 players for every position. Absolutely, Tangi. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Arsenal haven't got the experience of a title fight, and the pressure's got to them. Like it did with us back in the 90s. We did exactly the same. We were 12 points clear. Man United came that night. Cantona scored. We tried everything to get past Schmeichel. We could not get past him. He was an absolute beast that night. He was like a brick wall that night. Nothing got past him whatsoever. And it was just one of those games. And it just seemed to be after that, we just felt a bit and we ended up losing the league. Del Boy, big up Tony, Big Tony and Roly. You guys are going to batter us on Sunday. Well, big up to you as well, Del. And,
I hope you're right, Del Boy.
Yeah, Del Boy's a cracking guy. He really is. If you haven't seen his channel, go and check it out. It's an absolute brilliant channel. And he's a great guy, is Del Boy. I've been on his channel before. Bia says, Miggy to come back in on Sunday to help with ball retention up front. Maybe. Who knows? But again, we'll find out on Sunday. Jan says 1-0 will do for me on Sunday.
Yeah,
like I keep saying, I'll take a 1-0. I'll take a last minute goal off the back of Ramsdale's backside. So yeah, I'll take that. Of course, I'll take 3-0. Absolutely. Up front, Isak and Wilson, says Sefton.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Gary says Steve Wraith's gone for a 2-2 draw. I'm thinking, please, 11 draws is more than enough when your lads think about that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll take a point at this stage, though, because, we're going to win on Sunday, says Paul. Arsenal says, Del Boy, Gunnar, what's the bleeding story, fella? Yeah, Del Boy, you normally come on asking what the bleeding crack is, and you haven't tonight. Lee says, we spent good and wise on getting the right players. They will gel together in quality and bring the best out of each other. They will, Lee, absolutely, mate. Sefton says, aye. Home win for me, 2-0. Tanji says, Saliba's injured and they missed, but isn't Gabriel injured now? Holding is awful. Yeah, Gabriel picked up an injury that night. Whether he's fit enough to start on Sunday, I don't know. But again, we will certainly find out. And 3-1.
I think they're going to just they're monitoring him at the moment. They're not committed whether he'll play or not. If he doesn't play, that's obviously good for us because he's a very good defender.
Jack says 3-1, seeing as we are at home. I hope you're right. So, do you want to give me your quick thoughts on Paul Dummett, on what Eddie Howe had to say about Dummett?
I'm surprised that I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that he's talking about giving him a new contract. But that, again, as you said, could be down to the homegrown quota that you have to have for Europe. But I'm not surprised in talking about him in such glowing terms because that's the way Eddie is. He's not going to slate his players. He's obviously worked hard, but as you said, he can't get in the team because we've been playing so well. He's been at the club a long time, as well respected. So I'm not surprised that he talked about him with such glowing terms. He's the sort of one that would be there to make up the numbers on the homegrown side rather than actually playing. Or Carabao, if you get another Carabao Cup draw against the like of Tranmere, he'll play in that. And maybe the FA Cup, but in the league and Champions League, he's not going to feature. He's obviously very good behind the scenes as well. And obviously they value that a lot as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the summer because they're talking about offering him a new deal. And he's talking in glowing terms about Matt Ritchie as well. maybe we won't be doing quite as much business as we've anticipated. And if we're not going to do if we're not going to do as much business in numbers, we might be doing more in quality.
Yeah. I think the club are just keeping their cards close to their chest. They're not going to go out there and say we're going to buy 5 or 6 players in summer, because that'll just put pressure. They'll just get the players as they can get them. Simple as.
They know what they want.
Some breaking news that come out tonight is that Brighton are to sign Joe Pedro for £30 million from Watford. Personally, I don't think he's worth 30 million. It's a club record fee for Brighton, but I personally don't think he's worth 30 million, in all honesty. But good luck to the lad going to Brighton, and I think it's probably the best club for him to go to, in all honesty. And he could end up being a 60 or 70 million pound player in the next couple of seasons. Who knows?
Brighton
could go the opposite end
really well.
Also, breaking news: Nottingham Forest have entered the race now to sign James Milner in the summer free from Liverpool. Obviously, providing, I think, if they... And if Everton fans are worried about next season, they've had a massive cash injection, because the EFL have just signed a new 5-year deal with Sky worth £935 million. So in the Championship, they will have a new Sky deal to be proud of. So they'll get money that way coming into their club. So, and Southampton fans, obviously. So Eddie Howe then was asked another question in the conference. On the running, with Newcastle targeting a top 4 finish for the first time since 2002-2003 campaign under Sir Bobby's management. Now, Eddie says nothing's done. I didn't expect it to be done. We are competing against elite teams who will fight to the end, and we have to do the same. Our 5 games, we need to give our best preparation and focus to, because the fight we're in could go right down to the end of the season. Now, he's obviously doing that. He's playing it down because he doesn't want to say, yeah, we're in the Champions League, and then say we don't end up in the top 4 and we finish 5th. He looks stupid then. And that's well said by Eddie Howe. But he probably knows deep down that we've got games there that we can win, like Leeds, like Leicester, Chelsea away, So he knows what we need. And the one team that's probably looking over their shoulders more than us is Man United now, because Liverpool are only 4 points behind Man United. Man United drop another couple of games, Liverpool could be in that top 4, Man U could be 5th. So that's the balance that's on at the moment. We go and win against Arsenal on Sunday. That puts us on 68 points. Then we're on track to qualify for the Champions League. So I see what Eddie Howe's saying there. I think he's absolutely right what he said. That we are fighting against elite teams, and he's right. We are competing against elite teams. And remember, Liverpool's the only team that's actually come to us and actually beat us. But again, Arsenal are in a horrendous run of form at the moment, and we just wait and see. Because Gary says, thinking about it, has any other teams had 11 draws in one season? I'm not sure, Gary. I can't remember, but I'm sure somebody will know in the chat.
That's bad.
3-1 Newcastle. Arsenal weakness is their defence, absolutely. 3-1 to us, says Lee. That's the score I'm going for, 3-1. Sefton says, I'm still on the fence about the bottom 3, Southampton, Leeds and Everton. I still think Leeds will go. I can't see Leeds staying up. I think Forest will beat Southampton next Monday. Leeds will get a tonking tomorrow off Man City. And they will be back. They'll be in the bottom 3. Everton will not beat Brighton away on Monday. Let me show you that. There's no way they're going to beat Brighton. Brighton have just beaten Man United. They're going to be highs. They're going to be on a high. And Everton are probably going to get a roasting, in other words. Tanji says, only look for, eh?
They might do a Wolves on Brighton might do a Wolves on Everton.
Yeah, 6-0, who knows? Tanji says, only losing 4 with 28 goals conceded. I treat those draws as valuable towards our total points tally. Imagine if we had 11 points less. Our ethics would have been a team that was hard to beat this season. Exactly, Tanji. You're absolutely spot on. We can't take the draws for granted. The draws are great because that is, like you say, that's 11 points more that we've got because of them draws. Yes, we've lost 14 points to VAR, but you know what? I still believe we'll finish in that top 4, and I think we'll finish 3rd. And Tanji says next season we'll turn those draws into wins. Some of those draws, yeah, absolutely, Tanji.
Yeah.
The likes of Palace and that, where we drew and Bournemouth, no disrespect. Next season we need to be beating teams like that, not drawn with these teams.
If we only need to turn 5 or 6 of those into wins, and we're in the title race.
Yeah. Also, Eddie was asked, on the recent fixtures at St James's Park, which has seen us record important wins against Man U and Tottenham Hotspur, he says, they're big challenges. He says, your preparation to the game is key. So the training you deliver and the tactical plan, you've got to try and get it right. You then ask the players to execute that to the best of their ability, so there's a lot of decisions to be made. They are great games, the ones we've had recently, because we've had positive results and performances, so that's what we're looking for again. My mind flicks to those games, and it's always about the crowd, the emotion, the noise, the feeling, and that they have created for us. It's the same again, please. So can we create that intimidating environment for our opponent and elevate our players? So Eddie is obviously happy with those wins against Man U and the hammering of Spurs. And he's asking the crowd to make the place intimidating for the opposing team on Sunday and create that intimidating environment, which will raise the game of our players, which is absolutely spot on from Eddie Howe. What do you make of that, Roly, what he's just said there?
Yeah, I mean, about not admitting that we're going to qualify for the Champions League, I think that's part and parcel of Eddie's psyche, in that he looks at one game at a time, doesn't dwell on the past game. Looks, as soon as we've finished the game, he looks to the next one. He doesn't look too far ahead. I mean, I do think that we will qualify because there are enough winnable games. We only need 7 points to qualify. That's assuming that Liverpool win all their remaining games. And they've got to win them all for us to need 7 points. The only way we won't qualify for the Champions League is if we implode. And I don't see that happening. But it's good to concentrate on the game in hand rather than looking too far ahead, getting too excited. I think that's what hurt us in the run up to the Carabao Cup. I think the players were thinking more about the cup final than the game in hand, which is understandable because we've not been there before. And there are a lot of players in that team who haven't been there or haven't even been close to being there before. You can see that if you look at Dan Burn, the excitement after the semi-final win. He was happy, but it's hard to not look forward to a big game like that, because that's what they sign up to be professional footballers for, to look for the big game. And it's up to the management to keep them focused on the next game in hand. It's good experience for us for next season. Hopefully we'll get to a cup final again. And it would be more, I think in some respects, though they wanted to win the game, it's almost like they're just happy to be there.
Yeah.
Next time we go, we're going to win, not just to be there. And I think it's a bit like that for the supporters, because we've not been to a cup final for 23 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a novelty. It's something to get excited about. When you're doing it regularly, you get it out, you've got all the excitement out of the way in the one that you didn't win. Now you've got to go one stage further. I mean, I thought that was a really good comments by Eddie. I was trying to remember what was the other one that it was talking about.
What were that comment?
Yeah. Obviously, you talked about
About the wins against Man U and Spurs.
yeah. Again, that's great to build on. Great performances. We need to repeat those sort of performances for the remainder of the season. If we do that, we won't lose a game this season. We won't lose in the next 5 games. Won't necessarily win them all, but I think looking at the fixtures we've got, we'll get more than 7 points.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Obviously, you don't want to lose tomorrow, but a draw isn't too bad because it means we now need 6 points from 4. We've still got to play Leicester. We've still got to play Leeds. We've still got to play Chelsea. So it's not you're saying that the team looking over the shoulder should be Man United, and just made me think of Liverpool overtaking Man United. Reminds me of the definition of mixed feelings. So it's a bit like watching your mother-in-law drive over a cliff in your brand new Mercedes.
God, it's a bit dramatic, Roly, but yeah, I see what you mean by yeah. On that note, if you like what you see, guys, then please smash the likes. It really does help the channel to search results. So I've got 24 watching, so smash those likes if you haven't done so already. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, and hit the subscribe, free to do so, helps the channel grow. And that bell notification will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows. So I'm currently on 535 subscribers. So absolutely fantastic. So next, Eddie Howe was asked after the reverse fixture against Arsenal last season, which saw us beat them convincingly 2-0. Eddie Howe says, I think it's a different game. We've come a long way in that period of time, and Arsenal have, so you'll see 2 teams that have improved since that point. In terms of overall performance, I thought that was our best performance at that point. I thought we were really strong in our off-the-ball performance and very good also on the ball, and we were creative against a very good team. Since then, we've eclipsed that this season in terms of how we've played in certain games, but probably looking at this game knowing we're going to have to replicate our best performance to win again. So basically, Eddie's just saying, yeah, that was our best performance last season. Well, what was a dull season in the fact that, at the start of it, and then we eventually stayed up. And yeah, he's basically saying if we want to replicate that, we've got to up our game on Sunday. And also, he was then asked about War Flag's work on encouraging the fans to get behind the hashtag Bring Your Scarf campaign ahead of the weekend's encounter. And he said, I think War Flags has been incredible. We've invited them in, enjoyed a morning with them, spending time with them and getting to know their stories a bit better and why they do what they do. They have had huge impacts. The first thing I do is when I step out of St James's Park is I look to my right, look around the stadium and see what there is to enjoy. Usually it's inspiring, not just for me, but for the players, and they're the most important people. When they are paid a tribute to a certain way, I can only think that gives them a huge lift going into that game. So Eddie Howe praising War Flags. He's had time with them as well, spent time with them, listened to their stories. And he loves the atmosphere. He loves to come out and see the flags and see what flags there are, because obviously it's a different one every week. So what's your thoughts on that, Roly?
Well, you said it all, really. We were fantastic in the game last season. War Flags, I think that played a big part in it because the whole display was superb, and I think that got to the Arsenal players. I don't think they're expecting that. They knew it'd be raucous, but they weren't expecting the atmosphere they got. We played really well. They didn't, and we put them to the sword. On Sunday, we're going to have to be at our best because Arsenal are a very good side. They've just come off a good win against Chelsea, but Chelsea they're awful at the moment, and they gifted them the opening goal. And I think that the longer Arsenal go without a goal, the more nervous they get, because they weren't great in the first 20 minutes, giving the ball away. But again, Chelsea, being Chelsea at the moment, they just gave it straight back to them. If they give the ball away like they did in the first 20 minutes against us, we could get a couple of goals up. Because I mean, we're especially at home, we start fast. I mean, one of the things about starting fast is it means that if you can get up early, it means they can't go for that low block defensively, because they need the win as much as we do, so they've got to come out and play. So that gives us the opportunity to penetrate and attack and hopefully score a couple of goals. But we need, again, with the atmosphere at St James's, you see the guys when they come out. Look at this Cup semi-final. The guys, when they came out and saw the display, you could see they felt like, it's like, apart from Dan Burn, he's almost 7 foot tall anyway. They all felt about 7 foot tall.
Yeah. Alan says, early on in the season, far robbed us of wins. That became draws, which would have given us points. Absolutely, Alan. We've lost 14 points.
Yeah. And some of them are less obvious than others, but there are some that are definitely that. When we got apologised for the Crystal Palace, there are a couple of others which were chalked off that shouldn't have been, and has cost us games. There's some of them which were debatable in that VAR checked it, but it's one that they went with. I think one of the problems with VAR is that, especially this season, is they've taken too long, and there should be a cut-off time where if they haven't made a decision by that time, they have to stick with the on-field decision.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times it almost seems like they're looking so hard because they want to change the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But there should be a time. I mean, Howard Webb said it a couple of weeks ago. He was being interviewed at some function and saying, a VAR, it shouldn't take 3 minutes for them to make a decision, because they should only be involved when it jumps off the screen at you. Like last night, the handball for Brighton for the penalty.
After the final whistle.
Yeah, that just jumped. You can understand the ref not necessarily seeing it. But when you see it first time, you can see his hands just sort of flips the ball. It's got to be so obvious. It's supposed to be clear and obvious. And if you're looking for 2 minutes, it can't be that clear and obvious because you haven't been able to make a decision straight away. Most of the times when you see VAR, most of the times I've looked at it and thought, well, I can say, well, there's some where you can't, it's difficult, but most of them say, well, that's onside or that's a handball or whatever. Normally it jumps off off the screen what the correct decision is.
Yes.
So why they need to take 5 minutes to make a decision is because it's not clear and obvious, and they should be keeping out of that. And people said, well, they took so long, but they got the decision right. But it's normally it's one of those really marginal ones where really they should go with the refs. I don't like comparing other sports, but you look at when they do the cricket, when they do LBW, they check that it's a fair ball. They then check whether it's hitting the bat before the pad. If it hasn't, they do the ball tracking. And if the ball is hitting the stumps with less than half of the half of the ball, they stick with the umpire's decision. So if he said not out, it stays not out. If he said it's out, it's out. But
Yes.
it's definitive. They're saying that they don't say, oh, it would have been out. They say it's the umpire's call because it's so close. We think it's because, I mean, ball tracker's pretty good, but you can't be 100% sure. So they defer to the umpire's on-field decision. And it's because cricket's got a natural break between balls, they can take the time and it doesn't disrupt the flow of the game. But they run it back a few times to check with visually whether it's hit the bat, and then they have what they call the snickometer, which is basically the microphones, to decide whether, or ultredge, I think they call it, to see whether there's spikes, there's a sound, and then if less than half the ball is hitting the stumps, they go with the umpire's call. It should be the same. If it's close and you're not sure, it's the on-field decision should supersede, and they shouldn't be calling the referee over to have a look at it.
Because Bias says Liverpool will win their remaining games because VAR will make it happen. We saw that night. Sefton says, who are the match officials? Right, Sefton. The officials are Chris Kavanagh is the referee. He's assisted by Richard West and Nick Greenhalgh. The fourth official will be Anthony Taylor. The VAR is Michael Salisbury. Not that Pratt again, because I can't stand... Well, I can't say I can't stand the bloke, because I felt sorry for the man because Lee Mason hung him out to dry against Crystal Palace. And assistant VAR will be Scott Ledger. So, I mean... I say Anthony Taylor is the assistant because the fourth official, because Anthony Taylor will be refereeing the day before in the Liverpool versus Brentford game. But again, Brentford could go and beat Liverpool. Who knows? I mean, Brentford are having a great season as well. So, the only problem for Brentford is it's Andre Mariner who's on the VAR.
Yeah.
So, that doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? And I just want to give a shout out, please, to Russell Pringle from RU Podcast. Can I just say thank you very much indeed, my friend, for £20 donation to the channel. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
And the other thought, I mean, obviously, that Salisbury got hung out to dry by Lee Mason. Maybe they should look at when they're thinking of promoting referees to the Premier League, they put them on VAR first, so they get to see how that works. Then they'll have a better understanding when. I mean, this is weren't we something like his third game? And he's got the senior ref on VAR telling him, "Oh, I think you made a mistake here."
Yeah,
when he hadn't,
and not showing him all the angles either.
Sometimes when you get someone with experience, you tend to bow to their greater experience, even though he got it horrendously wrong. Maybe they spend a bit of time on VAR before they actually ref a match, so they understand how it works properly. So that then they'll be better able to cope with the decision when it is played back. So the other thing that Richard Webb said was that, Howard Webb said, that the refs can go against VAR, but they haven't got the mindset. As I've been saying for ages, the mindset is when they go to that screen is that I've made a mistake, rather than, as I go with my rugby announcer, when they do there's a try and the ref will go, my on-field decision is a try, show me why I shouldn't, why I can't give the try. So it could be like the refs is going, there should be like, I've given the penalty, show me a reason why I can't give it, or I've allowed the goal, show me a reason why I can't give it. But when it goes over to the monitor, rather than, I've made a mistake. It's a mindset thing, because if you go over thinking you've made a mistake, you're more likely to think, have I got this wrong? It's still subjective. And if they're not showing you all the angles, I think that's one of the biggest problems. They don't show all the angles. They show the angles that they want. They want them to see.
After that and after the West Ham game, I think they had to start showing all the angles because obviously there was a lot going on. I mean, Alan's asking a question. Tony, do you think Newcastle will sign big name signings or young upcoming signings? Well, the thing is, Alan, we're going to look at a range of different players, to be fair, mate. I mean, you know, we've got the link with Rafinha now. We've now got the link with Kefren Turam of Nice. And there's also talk of his brother Marcus coming to the club. So, you know, and there's talk of a young guy from Celta Vigo, but I think he's probably going to go to Real Madrid in all honesty. Vitor Roque, the striker from Brazil, we're looking at him. He's a very talented player. So, yeah, there's a lot there, Alan, that we could look at. I think we'll be targeting a different type of player and a different level of player once we know we've got Champions League secured. I'm sure the owners know who exactly they want, but they probably don't want to make too much. They've probably made initial contact, but nothing major yet until they know that it's concrete that we've got Champions League. Once we got Champions League, I think you're going to see this club take off. I really do. And I think our club will take off massively once we got the Champions League. And Alan says, I agree, Gary. Come on, Brentford. Absolutely. Sefton. Sorry. Thanks, Sefton, very much for that donation.
Yeah. I mean, about big signings or youthful ones, it all depends on what you call a big signing. Is it the price tag or is it the stature of the player currently? Because you look at Bruno, his stature wasn't big, but he's been a big player for us. So it is all really dependent on what you describe as a big player. Because you say Isak's a big signing, but he's young as well. So it could be both. So it's all very subjective, but I think it'll be a mix of. I think we might get a couple of mid to late 20s and a couple early 20s, and maybe a couple for development projects for the under 23s. There's a lot. I think one of the things we forget is that they're doing a lot of work to improve the under 23s so that we don't have to go out and spend big money all the time. We want to be able to produce like Man City do, like a Phil Foden who's come through the ranks. We want to be able to do that. So they brought the people in who can spot the talent and then we can nurture them. That's why we bought Garang Kowal, Alex Murphy. They've just given Lewis Miley a new contract. They're signing a goalkeeper from the Republic of Ireland. These are all young prospects that hopefully will turn into big players because we want to have a conveyor belt a bit like Brighton.
Yeah.
Though we're not going to be selling players like Brighton are, whenever Brighton sell a player, the person they bring in to replace him tends to be as good, if not better.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, that's Vitor Roque who we've been linked with. So if anybody doesn't know a lot about him, I will give you a quick rundown on. If it's a shame Foxy's not in the chat tonight because he highly rates this guy and he would have give us the lowdown on Vitor Roque, you know, because Foxy knows all his South American football. but going on Vitor Roque, he obviously plays for Atletico Paranaense. So if that club rings any bells to you, that's where Bruno started his career. This guy's 18 years of age. He's 5'8". He's a forward. His player value is €18.5 million. Weaknesses are aerial duels and ball control. Again, he's only 18-year-old. This season, that's just started. He started all 3 games he's played, and he's got 1 goal and no assists this season. But if we go back to his stats from last season, in the Brazilian Serie A, he's actually started 1 out of 3 games this season and got 1 goal and no assists. But if we look at last season in the Brazilian top flight, he started 14 of 29 games. He got 5 goals and 2 assists. He won 5 penalties for the team. He scored 1 with his left foot, 1 goal with his left foot, and the other 4 goals were scored with his right foot. Per game, he's been creating 2 big chances per game. And his passing is 70% accurate, considering this guy's only 18 years of age. What a prospect.
Mm.
We need to get in there and get him signed up. Same with this guy. I mean, Rafinha. I know some people are a bit mixed about Rafinha. Now, let me say about Rafinha, right? This guy's played in the Premier League for Leeds. So he's Premier League proven all over. So he knows the Premier League. So if you get him, he's going to settle straight into the Premier League. He would be right up our street for a signing. I mean, you look at Rafinha, and he's a very fit guy. So he would actually fit in well on our pressing game. I mean, this season for Barcelona, he started 21 out of 31 he's played. And he's got 7 goals and 6 assists in the La Liga. Barcelona are desperate to sell players this season. Because, 1, they want Lionel Messi back there next season. And they know he's leaving PSG on a free. But in order to get him back there and pay his wages, they need to get rid of some players. And top of their list is Rafinha, because they know they can get some money back on him. And we've offered 70 million according to sources. If that's true...
I'd be surprised if we've offered that much. That may be what Barcelona want, but I'd be surprised if we've offered that much.
It's not beyond the realms of impossibility, Roly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
You've got to remember, we've got sponsorships coming in, things like that. So, it's totally different.
It just seems a little over the top for him. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but maybe that's what it takes to get him. I don't know. I just wouldn't have thought we want to spend that much on him. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, especially as Barcelona need to get rid of players, they can't be asking for top dollar because people know that they need to get rid of players, so they won't pay it. But that's my thinking behind it. But I could be wrong. But I mean, I wouldn't say no to getting him. I just think that are they going to break the transfer record again? Maybe not. We'll see.
Another player we're being linked with again for the summer is this man, Inter Milan, Denzel Dumfries. Hell of a player, hell of a right. He's a right back, right-sided player. Right, he can play on the right as well, right wing. I'll tell you what, 30 to 35 million euros is his asking price. I'll tell you what, let's be all over this. If we've got Champions League, let's get all over this. Let's get him in. Because I'll tell you now, this guy is a cracking player. If we can steal a march and get him, that would be a hell of a sign. He's 27 years of age. He's rated 29 million euros. He started 22 out of 30 games this season. He's got 1 goal and 3 assists. This guy is a cracking player, and I would be all over this. I really would, because not only that, it's strength and depth as well, and it's what you need for like Champions League experience. And when you've got someone like that who can play in the Champions League, then that helps you out full time. And also, not only that, it then means you can then rotate Trippier as well, because then you've got somebody with great quality that can come into the side and help out. When Trippier needs a rest, he can just pop in. You've got that extra quality there. Before I come and ask your opinion, Roly, I'm just going to go into some comments quickly and see what people say. Sefton says, I would love to fast forward 12 months and see the ins and outs. I mean, Lee had said rugby's fast with their VR. Yeah, they are. Paul says 70 million is too much for Rafinha.
That's my thinking as well. But
Sefton says, I thought so. Paul said, I'd rather have Fatty. Yeah, definitely. Sefton says, a day spending silly money has well gone for the tune anyway. Yeah, definitely, Sefton. But, I mean, Roly, Denzel Dumfries, does he do it for you?
It's a quality player. My 30 to 35 million euros seems a reasonable price. But does he want to come to be second fiddle to Trippier?
Well, but he can play on the wing as well, so I don't know.
Yeah, but
But
there's
the
so
thing
much
is, though,
competition at the wing. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a good transfer. I'm just thinking of why he's got to want to come. And Trippier's the main man at the moment, so he's coming to sit on the bench. Is he going to want to do that? If he's happy biding his time behind Trippier, that's great. And then you have him, and then Harrison Ashby. Hopefully, he'll develop along.
yeah.
That's the other concern, is whether that will stunt Ashby's development.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the thing is, so you got to look at is we're looking to sign players to improve the team, and obviously you want the players at elite standard for going into these elite competitions because, I mean, the thing is, I think we'll surprise a lot of teams in the Champions League the way we play our game, because there'll be a lot of teams who don't face that sort of pressure and intensity that we do. So there'll be teams that will come up against us and be like, well, hang on, what's this? What's going on here? You know? So, and sometimes in the group you get the smaller teams in that group as well. So, you know, you may get your likes of your Shakhtar Donetsk or, you know, your Lillestroms or whatever, you know, and IFK Gothenburg or whatever. Yeah. And the thing is, these teams will probably not be able to cope with the way Newcastle play. I mean, Paul says we're going to need extra players to rotate as we are going to be in 4 competitions next season. That's the thing. That's exactly what I'm saying, Paul. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'd say in my defence is that I think that if we're going to buy a player of Dumfries' quality, we're going to be buying him to start rather than to be a rotational player. So it's like if we buy let's say a right side is Sven Botman, that would be to start, and Shah would be the rotational player. I don't think that someone of Dumfries' quality we'd buy without having the intention of starting him. And as he's a right back, unless Trippier's form dips tremendously, which it's shown no sign of doing, he's coming as a rotational player, and I just don't see them paying that sort of money for someone that is ultimately a rotational player. I think some of the recruitment is going to, like, a right winger. If we get Diaby, that's because we want someone that's better than what we've got.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be the sort of the way we're going to work. We're like, well, where do we need to strengthen? Like left back, we need someone that's better than Dan Burn, or Matt Target. On the right side, it's going to be pretty hard to find someone that's better than Trippier. And we've also not just got Harrison Ashby, we've got Emil Kraft as well. So I don't see Dumfries coming in and supplanting Trippier, which means that we're probably, we're going to be, if we're looking for players that are going to supplant someone, so we get the strength and depth. I don't think Dumfries is going to be the one, because I don't think he's an upgrade on Trippier. He's not, who won't supplant him for the leadership skills. So yeah, I mean, we might go in for him if he's happy just to play second fiddle to Trippier. But I think that if we're spending big money on a player, it's because we're buying him to start, not to be a rotational player, especially at his age. Now, you look at Anthony Gordon, we paid a lot of money for him, but he's still a development project because we know there's a lot more to get from him. This season, it's the same reason that it took Isaac a lot of time before Eddie would start him. He may be fit, but he's not Eddie Howe fit.
Yeah.
Because of the way we play. He's got, with Gordon, it's not just he's not Eddie Howe fit. They've got to get rid of all the crap that Everton taught him out of his head.
I mean, Ian says there, I would say them. We need cover. Absolutely, Ian.
Yeah, I know that, but I just don't think that someone of his ability would want to come to a club to be cover.
Alan says, I'd love to sign a defender that can play left or right back for cover. We've been linked with defenders like that, Alan. I mean, and Dicker's available on a free in the summer. Paul says 26 million is what we are meant to be offering for him. It's not bad. Absolutely, Paul.
Yeah.
He says, I can see us getting another right back as Ashby won't be ready and Kraft and Manquillo will be gone in the summer.
Well,
you could well be right there.
Manquillo will go. Kraft, it all depends on his recovery.
But then it depends if Newcastle want to keep Kraft as well in the summer. Yeah. So again, it's another one. You know, it all depends. I mean, but then it's not like Dumfries is going to come and not play games because he will play games.
Yeah,
he'll probably play FA Cups, probably play Carabao Cup. He may play the odd league game because Trippier probably won't play every league game and every Champions League game. So there'll be a rotation there.
I'm just thinking from his point of view that he's a starting right back. He's a Dutch international. He's a starting right back where he is now. Are you going to want to come to a club so you can play Carabao Cup and FA Cup games and the odd league game?
Yeah,
but that's not that he wouldn't want to come to the club. It's just at his age and his ability, he's going to want to be playing week in, week out. The position he plays, I don't see that happening. He may be happy to compete for the place. He may become better than Trippier, or Trippier might get even better. When you look at Wilson since Isak started playing, it could be spurring him on. I could be completely wrong, and he might want to come and he might be happy, content. But But my problem isn't his ability and his price tag. It's whether he wants to come and not necessarily play.
I mean, Paul says Dummett new contract would be able to be that have that extra homegrown player for the European competitions. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And Ian says, how old is Trippier? Trippier's 32. Ian, he's 33 in September this year. So he's nearly 33. I mean, how long can Trippier go on for? He keeps himself very fit. So he keeps himself very fit.
I think he's got at least another season or two left in him at the very high level that he's playing now.
Alan says, how much would Savic cost from Lazio? Lazio want 40 million euros for him, Alan. That's
about 35 million pounds
being banded around the media. So if that's the case, I would say go and grab him for that price because he's a. And Paul says, to sign for the top clubs, you won't be guaranteed started. Bellingham at Madrid won't be starting all games, for example. Absolutely, Paul.
You're
absolutely bang on.
Yeah, but again, you're talking about Real Madrid, and they've got the prestige that we haven't got yet.
But you look at Man City. Look at the players they've got. Look at Julian Alvarez. He's a hell of a striker. He can't get He can't get in the starting lineup. You know. Jack Grealish took a long time to get in the starting lineup for Man City. You know,
but again, they're a lot higher profile than we are at the moment. I'm not saying that won't happen in the future. I think right now, where we are in the project, I think that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
If we've been winning trophies season in, season out, it's not so much of a hard sell because you'll get a few games, you'll win trophies. And if Haaland gets injured, you'll have a suspend. You'll have a run in the team. Players are prepared to go to the likes of Real Madrid, the likes of Barcelona, PSG, Manchester City, because they win trophies. Might not play as much as they want, and they'll be playing with better players and as well.
Yeah,
where we haven't got that prestige, that name recognition yet. There's going to be a time when we start winning stuff where people are going to be happy to come to Newcastle because we're Newcastle United. All right, so I don't play all the games. I'll be at this great club, great fans, and I'll win trophies. We haven't got there yet. That's my only worry. I mean, he may come, but that's my. We're still playing catch up with these teams. So if when you look at the summer of Ikiteki, when he heard that PSG were interested, he went there. It's a bad move on his part, but we haven't got the pulling power. We've got the financial muscle, but we haven't got the pulling power of these clubs.
I mean, Alan says he would love to sign Bellingham just to see Klopp's face. I mean, that's not going to happen, Alan. No,
it's going to Real Madrid.
Yeah, he is. I mean, yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Roly. I totally do. But I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we can all speculate, but we will see what the summer ahead brings us, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting summer. We are going to wrap up now, guys and girls. Unfortunately, Kyle hasn't been able to get on. Obviously, travel problems with obviously the bank holiday. But I'm sure we'll get Kyle on the next show as well. So that'll be great. So it's apologies, obviously, from my part. Kyle hasn't messaged me, so I'm hoping he's okay. But I mean, Roly, do you want to give a shout out where people can find you on your socials?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Poll67.
Thank you very much, Roly. If you like what you see, then please smash the like. If you haven't done so already, then please smash it on the way out. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, then please hit the subscribe. Free to do so, helps the channel grow. And that bell notification will tell you when I'm live, have a pre-record, or any upcoming shows. And then once again, thank you very much to Sefton for your £20 donation to the channel. That is much appreciated, mate. Thank you very much indeed. But yeah, I mean, coming up on Sunday, there will be the build-up live, the pre-match. So catch the pre-match. So it's a 4:30 kickoff, so it'll be 3:30. So it'll be 3 o'clock start for the pre-match build-up, where we'll bring you the team lineups. And then there could be a match reaction later on, because I have been asked by Luca if I'm going to go on his channel for the reaction, and I've had to say to him I don't know, because I'll have to work out what I'm doing. If I'm doing a reaction, then I'll have to say to Luca, sorry, I won't be able to make it straight after the match. So but I'll keep my options open on that one. I've got some comments here. Cheers, Tony and Roly, says Ian. Cheers, Ian. Thank you very much indeed. Brilliant show, lads, says Sefton. Off. We're just saying all back to work tomorrow night. We're hoping to catch you all on match day. Yeah, enjoy your work tomorrow, Sefton.
Don't work
keep
too
up
hard.
the great work, Tony. See you all soon, says Alan. Cheers, Alan. And Sefton saying bye to Ian and Alan. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'll be back Sunday with them shows. Don't think I'm doing a show tomorrow, because I've got stuff to do tomorrow. So obviously it's Coronation Day, isn't it? So probably a lot of people might be watching the coronation, or they may not be, or so whatever you're doing tomorrow, stay safe and have a great time. Because a couple of times I'm having to keep looking out because my lights were flickering. We've got a thunderstorm, so I think it hasn't started properly yet, but I think when it does start, it might be a bad storm, so we shall see. But we play Arsenal on Sunday. Let's hope we can get 3 points, which would be absolutely fantastic. Carry on that march towards the Champions League and try and secure our 3rd place. And as I always say, remember, the future's bright, the future's black and white.
And it's as we say, E-I-E-I-E-I-O, up the Premier League we go.
Absolutely, Roly. Absolutely. I've got another comment. Yeah. Coronation, not me. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of people are not really tuned in for it. Or they really, I mean, you know,
I'll
it's
be
just another
watching
day. The only good thing about it is we get an extra day off on Monday. So, you know, let's just say thank you for that anyway, at least. But
I'm going to enjoy it.
yeah, absolutely. But it's a goodbye from me, guys.
It's a goodbye from me.
Have we hear the lads?